Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 22nd April 2016. The first article is related to the surge in New Delhi, or else the state intervention in the case of the free markets, especially operation of the Ola and Uber cabs. Here we need to understand what is the meaning of surge pricing. With regard to the Ola and Uber cabs, whenever the demand is high, then automatically the price of the good and service will improve. It is a kind of dynamic pricing which you see in the airlines. Even today it is introduced in the Indian Railway and everywhere. Now, if free markets have to operate, the state has to leave the pricing issues to the market forces, that is demand and supply. Only when a particular good is in scarce and which is a daily necessity to provide that to all the citizens, the state can intervene in public interest. But with regard to the regular day-to-day business, state instead of regulating it, is directly involving in determination of the prices of the goods and services. It will automatically curtail the innovation, and the state's overreach will ultimately influence our environment of entrepreneurship, investment and innovation. An intrusive regulation is always dangerous to the country. And added to that, this intrusive regulation will further lead to increased corruption. The government, if it wants to improve the services to the people, the best way forward here is providing for the better public transport. So because most of the masses, they access the public transport, and these disruptive technologies such as Uber and Ola, they have increased the experiences or made the experiences better for both the customers and also for the cab drivers. So if innovation has to happen, to the possible extent government shall keep itself away. And coming to another issue, so in Indian Express, between state versus market, there is another debate. Now the BT cotton, this seed has come into India through a technological transfer from Mahiko Monsanto company. So the Mahiko Monsanto company, it will give the seed to the local companies, and the local companies will sell them to the farmers. This is how the system goes on. So in this context, what we can say is this. The Mahiko Monsanto companies, recently, the price of the seed was artificially decreased by the state, and also the royalty paid by the seed companies to Mahiko Monsanto was also decreased by the government by 74%. In this context, again, if you remember the Vodafone momentum, what it is being said is this: a retrogressive establishment of tax, or sometimes it is called as tax terrorism. Now here regulatory terrorism is the word which is used. Arbitrary invalidation of the private contracts through involvement of the states will discourage the investor sentiment. Now between Mahiko Monsanto and the national seed companies, it is a contract between two private parties. Government has artificially intervened over here to cause a loss to the Mahiko company and a gain to the local seed companies. So such an intervention will make the investors to get away from India. So in a market economy, what the state has to do? It needs to take care of the competition. It has to ensure the services are available to all, to make them universal if necessary. And it shall provide for a level playing field. Now over-regulation of the state, especially in determining of the price of the seeds, etc., it has created much worse circumstances over here. So liberalizing the sector and providing entry for the competitors will automatically reduce the prices. Instead of state artificially decreasing the prices, facilitating competition in a market economy is the better way. Now, the next is, recently in Bengaluru, there is a spontaneous strike by the textile workers in reaction to the reduction in, or else not reduction exactly, with reaction to the certain restrictions imposed on immediate withdrawal of the provident funds. So what the government said is a person cannot withdraw his PF savings till 58 years of his age. So the PF savings are only the emergency dependent money, or is only the money in emergency the people can depend on to gain an access to a service, either a healthcare emergency or educational need of a child, etc. So the government taking that minimal safety measure away from these people made them to spontaneously come onto the road. This is a leaderless spontaneous movement where the people have vented out their grievance. And the second is, even the labor unions have become redundant in the world of globalization because of the situation where the labor bargaining power has drastically decreased. In India too, the labor laws have been amended in this context to that direction. So, a city is becoming a reflection of a manufacturing sector represented by the workers who have no rights, a services sector which is well paid off with better protective measures. So, these discrepancies between different classes of the workers itself makes a city a hotbed for disparities. Now it raises the crime rate in the city. It also makes the cities unsafe places to live. Now the Bangalore agitation is just an example for that. Now coming to India-Pakistan relations, there is not much content in this article. What the author trying to say is, Pakistan army always sees India as an existential threat. So it projects India as a reason for its very existence and also projects itself as the great unifying force of the Pakistan. On the other hand, the rightist elements wants to play to the electorate in India to show their nationalistic colors. In this context, India-Pakistan relations are a victim of these two stands. But in reality, what goes on has many contradictions. Either if you talk about Musharraf era, or you talk about Pakistan Ayub Khan's era, or General Jia's era, everywhere the relations are being re-established between the countries. So, even Vajpayee era and then now Modi's era. So there is, on the right-wing leadership also the relations are getting re-established. So there may be ups and downs, but many unpredictabilities are the major stay of India-Pakistan relationships. Now coming to the reasons and excuses for violence. Now recently there is a violence happened in Handwara in Kashmir. So what is this Handwara in Kashmir? It's a small town where an accusation that a woman was molested by an army officer has led to a huge protest and finally death of few civilians. Later in the inquiry it was proven that the issues are nowhere connected and it did not happen. So that shows the minimum level of the threshold at which the people are resorting to the violence. That exposes the distrust between the Indian side of the establishment, especially the armed forces, and the citizens. The best way forward for this is increasing the role of the democracy and the political parties in functions over there. And the second is providing for a system where more and more civilian administration functions and to the possible extent reducing the intrusive role of the army in the civilian life. These are the various steps that need to be taken. So in this Handwara issue, army bunkers are moved from the center of the city outside. That is a very positive development. And the next is NGT halts the Taonga hydro project. What is this Taonga hydro project is? Now, it is coming up in Arunachal Pradesh. This area, it is known for black-necked cranes. They come from the Tibet plateau and during the winters and they stay in Arunachal Pradesh, Tawang region. It is under the vulnerable category in the IUCN red list. Because of this bird, the project is stalled because it is under the Schedule 1 species which is endangered. So that in that context, it has the highest legal protection. So try to connect this to your environment chapter. Now, the president's rule. For the last 3 days, we are discussing this topic. The High Court of Uttarakhand has clearly stated that the imposition of Article 356 is not based on the valid facts, valid and relevant facts. So what is need to be done over here is this. We have to provide for, or else, we have to see the issue from the greater canvas of federalism, democracy and rule of law. That's what is the beautiful statement given by the High Court. So it has indicted the government on many fronts, and it has clearly stated the floor of the state legislative assembly is the only legitimate place where people can make a vote, or people can decide the legitimacy of the government. The members of legislative assembly can decide its legitimacy. Now coming to the Paris conference, see, in India more than 40 crores, that is 1/3 of the population, they don't have proper access to the clean, reliable energy sources. Now the government, it has to provide for these energy sources because power or else energy is the major source of to fight the poverty. So in this case, what we can say is this. Now when poverty has been fought through the energy, the major reason is India is still dependent on the coal energy. As India is still dependent on the coal energy, we have to, there is no way we can reach the targets which are stated by the Prime Minister Modi at the Paris conference. Because the clean energy is very costly, expensive, and it reduces automatically our developmental effort, impact of the developmental effort. So here, our target is to achieve 100 gigawatt of solar electricity by 2022 and 60 gigawatts of wind power. So that is a too huge a target for India. This is what is the article talks about. And driving home the bill. In the case of the recent accident in New Delhi with regard to Siddharth Sharma, who was hit by a teenager driving a Mercedes Benz, this article is discussed. Let's understand, Indian roads are most unsafe. Second is the law which is guiding that is the Motor Vehicle Act 1988. And the third thing is, most of the cases, the accidents are happening due to lack of improper roads. But however, as per the Motor Vehicle Act, the total responsibility of the accident lies on the driver. So in this case, the government of India in 2015 brought a road safety bill. According to it, a repeated offender can be punished with cancellation of the license, and some harsh punishments are there. And the second thing is this. So with regard to situation, or with regard to this particular bill, there is another issue over here. What it has been said is, if you talk in the United States, infrastructure and vehicular factors are taken into consideration. This is called forgiving roads and safe system approach. And India also need to adopt this forgive system approach. So it means that the standardization and implementation of the roads has to be given the due precedence. Now let's revise this. State intervention in free markets. It kills the innovation and benefits of the free market economy and makes the investors move away from the country. The BT cotton and surge pricing, these are the two examples of this. Coming to disparities, the urban disparities will lead to many urban penalties. And India-Pakistan relations, they are filled with contradictions. Violence in Kashmir shows the distrust between the parties. The Taonga hydro project, it talks about the black necked crane, which is in the IUCN Red Data Book. And then we have the Paris Treaty. India aims to achieve 100 gigawatts of power through solar sources, which appears highly impractical. Now the president's rule, what it has been said is, imposition of the president rule in a state has to be seen from a larger canvas of federalism, democracy and rule of law. USA-Saudi relations. The President Obama is visiting the Saudi Arabia, and it has been clearly said that the President Obama as trying to persuade or bring back the Saudis into the America fold. In this case, he said there are still objections about the Iran's role, but however, none of the countries, including the Gulf Arab rulers, they don't want any conflict with the Iran. In that way, he tried to balance between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The road safety bill. So what is necessary is cancellation of the licenses for the repeated offenders and taking into consideration infrastructural and vehicular factors so that keeping the blame of the accident only just on the driver can be avoided and automatically it will increase the road safety in the country. So these are the articles for today. Thank you.